Beverly Hills, Melrose Avenue, February 14th, 2019. Thursday afternoon. The street was as lively as usual. Expensive cars filled the parking spots, and high-priced artworks lined the shop windows. Tourists took pictures while the local wealthy passed by with their usual indifference. Every corner felt like a display of status, every boutique a quiet test of belonging, and Ozzy Osbourne, sitting behind the wheel of an old Toyota Camry, was simply looking for a parking space. He needed to pick up something for Sharon's anniversary. After 42 years of marriage, you learn a few things: how Sharon preferred art over jewelry, how she liked older pieces more than new ones, and how much she enjoyed a thoughtful surprise. Ozzy had come to Melrose with $200 in cash and a credit card without a limit. The idea was straightforward: find a small gallery, buy something meaningful, and surprise Sharon at dinner. Straightforward, at least in theory. Eventually, he found a spot. As he parked, he caught his reflection in the mirror. He was 70 now, but the spark inside him was still alive. He wore a plain black t-shirt, faded blue jeans washed countless times, and old Converse sneakers. His hair was its usual untidy mess. After slipping on his round sunglasses, he stepped out of the car that he moved with a slight stumble, the result of decades spent in rock and roll. His knees protested with every step, but Ozzy brushed it off. Bloody hell, he told himself. You can do this for Sharon. Walking down the street, he observed the people around him. Everyone seemed focused, everyone had somewhere to be. A young couple held hands as they window shopped. An older woman guided a tiny dog on a leash, the dog casually relieving itself on a fire hydrant. Tourists posed for selfies. Ozzy drifted among them unnoticed. No one recognized him. No one gave him a second glance, and that gave him a sense of calm. Being famous was enjoyable most of the time, but there were days when he preferred feeling like an ordinary guy. He walked along Melrose Avenue. A small gallery caught his eye. The front window showcased modern pieces, yet in the corner sat an older painting. It looked like something from the 1940s. Though it resembled a black and white photograph, it was clearly an oil painting, a woman by a window, raindrops streaking the glass. Sharon would appreciate it. Ozzy stopped and leaned closer to the window, narrowing his eyes to study it. There was no price tag, which usually meant one of two things: extremely affordable or extremely costly. From experience, Ozzy knew it was likely the latter, but that didn't bother him. He could already imagine Sharon's reaction. He pushed open the gallery door. A small bell rang, the kind you usually hear in older shops. Inside, the temperature dropped sharply. The air conditioning was set high, making him shiver briefly. The space was clean and minimal: white walls, a high ceiling, and a polished concrete floor. There were around 10 or 15 paintings inside, each placed under its own light, each standing out like a separate world. In the middle of the room was a black table with a thick catalog on it, but no staff in sight. Ozzy stepped in further and glanced around. He wondered where the painting from the window was displayed. On the right, in the corner, he noticed a door labeled private. Ozzy waited. After a few seconds, he heard footsteps coming down the stairs. Someone was coming down the stairs quickly. A young woman appeared, likely around 25 to 27 years old. She wore a fitted black dress that reached her knees. Her hair was pulled tightly into a bun. Her makeup was minimal, though her bright red lipstick stood out. There was a certain confidence in her expression, the kind often seen in people who work closely with the wealthy. She held an iPad, focused on the screen, not glancing up at first. The woman walked behind the desk, placed the iPad down, and finally looked at Ozzy. Her eyes moved from his head to his shoes. She noticed his worn t-shirt, old sneakers, and untidy hair, and her expression shifted. Instead of a genuine, professional smile, she offered a polite but strained one, edged with subtle disapproval. Ozzy recognized that look. It was the silent message: "Why are you here? This place isn't meant for you." But he stayed relaxed. He smiled and lowered his sunglasses slightly so she could see his eyes. The woman spoke. Her tone was pleasant, but there was a clear coolness beneath it. "Good afternoon. How may I assist you?" Ozzy kept his friendly expression. "Good afternoon, love. I wanted to ask about the painting in your window, the one with the raindrops. What's the price?" he asked, keeping his voice steady, his Birmingham accent unmistakable. The woman lifted her eyebrows slightly. She had noticed the way Ozzy spoke. Accent. Foreign, likely a tourist, she assumed. She picked up her iPad, tapped a few times, and checked the screen. "Ah, that piece," she said, her tone now even cooler. Henry Beaumont, 1947. French Impressionism. A very rare work. The previous owner was a French collector, and it came to us from the family. She paused, watching Ozzy as if expecting a reaction. But he stayed quiet. Waiting, she continued. "The price is $45,000, but we're offering a special discount this week. You can get it for $42,000. She said it casually, as if $42,000 were an everyday expense. That Ozzy's expression didn't change. For Sharon, that amount wasn't unusual. Just last year, she had paid $120,000 to a collector for a sculpture. But the woman didn't need to know any of that. Ozzy simply nodded. "I understand. Can I see it? I'd like a closer look." A basic, reasonable request. But something in the woman's expression shifted. Her eyes tightened, her mouth pressed into a firm line, and the forced smile faded. "Sir," the woman said, and this time there was no politeness at all. "That painting is extremely valuable. We only show it to serious buyers. Before that, we require identification and a deposit. $5,000 just for permission to handle it." The words lingered in the air. A $5,000 deposit just to view the piece. Ozzy slowly removed his sunglasses. His blue eyes met hers, tired eyes that had spent decades under bright stage lights. The woman looked uneasy for a moment but quickly regained her composure. "Look," she said, her tone firmer now. "We have highly valuable works here. Tourists come in every day, take photos, want to touch things, but this isn't a museum. It's a gallery. We make sales, and the kind of clients who can afford that painting are well defined." She paused and stared at Ozzy. The message was unmistakable. "You're not one of them. Why are you even here?" Ozzy took a slow breath and stayed composed. Sharon often reminded him, "Ozzy, don't waste energy getting angry. The world has its share of foolish people. Don't argue with them. Just smile and move on." But something shifted inside him. Maybe it was knowing that the painting was perfect for Sharon. Maybe it was the woman's attitude. Maybe he was simply older now and exhausted. But this time, he didn't feel like walking away. "Love," Ozzy said, still in a calm voice. "I just want to see a painting. I have the money. I have a credit card. If I like it, I'll buy it. Simple." The woman let out a short, bitter laugh. "Sir, the artworks here range from $40,000 to $200,000. They're not meant for tourists like you. Perhaps there are better options on Rodeo Drive, or maybe street artists at Venice Beach. Those are more suitable for people like you." The words felt sharp. Ozzy shook his head. "People like me? What do you mean?" he asked. She paused briefly, realizing she might have overstepped. But the arrogance returned quickly. "What I mean is our usual clients are different. Corporate collectors, well-known names, serious art buyers, people who understand the worth of these pieces and can afford them." She stressed the last word. Just then, the gallery door opened, and the bell rang again. Ozzy and the woman turned. 3 people walked in. 2 women and 1 man. All in their 50s, all wearing expensive clothing. One woman held a Chanel bag, the other a Hermes. The man wore an Italian suit with a perfectly tied knot. All 3 kept their sunglasses on indoors. The young woman's attitude changed instantly. The cold, dismissive look vanished, replaced with a bright, welcoming smile. "Ah, Mrs. Richardson," she said with forced enthusiasm. "So lovely to see you again. And Mr. Martinez, welcome." The 3 guests moved toward her. Ozzy stood off to the side, suddenly invisible. The woman didn't even look in his direction anymore. She was now fully focused on the new clients. "Jessica," Mrs. Richardson said, her voice sharp and energetic. "Did that Warhol piece you mentioned on the phone arrive?" Jessica, the gallery assistant, nodded quickly. Yes. It's upstairs in the private viewing room. It's stunning. I'll show you." The 3 visitors started moving toward the staircase. Jessica led them, but just as they reached the bottom step, she paused, turned, and looked at Ozzy. "Sir," Jessica said, her tone suddenly cold again. "We won't be able to assist you today. Perhaps another time." The meaning was obvious. Leave. Ozzy looked back at her with his blue eyes. He considered saying something, but what? "I'm Ozzy Osbourne, you know." That felt silly, unnecessary, even. And he wasn't here to prove anything. He was here for Sharon. Ozzy gave a gentle smile. "I understand, love. Thanks anyway." Jessica didn't bother to reply. She continued upstairs, followed by the three wealthy clients. Ozzy was left alone in the gallery, cold, minimal, surrounded by white walls. The echo of footsteps faded, and the sound of passing cars drifted in from outside. That he stood there for a moment, then turned, walked to the door, and stepped out. Bloody hell. He thought that you're 70 years old and still dealing with this kind of nonsense. He took his phone from his pocket and thought about calling Sharon. But what would he even say? A gallery assistant kicked me out because I looked homeless. Sharon would laugh first, then she'd get upset, and eventually she'd march to the gallery and have that assistant fired. Ozzy didn't want that. He just wanted to buy a gift, a simple gift. He put his phone away. As he walked back toward his car, someone called out from behind him. Sir, wait. Ozzy turned. A man was running out of the gallery. He looked to be in his 60s, with silver gray hair and an expensive but relaxed suit. When he reached Ozzy, he was slightly out of breath. I'm sorry, the man said, still catching his breath. I had to stop you. I'm Marcus Chun, the gallery owner. He offered his hand. Ozzy shook it. Ozzy, he said simply. Marcus nodded. I know, he replied quietly. I recognized you. My assistant didn't, but I did. And I saw everything that happened inside. We have security cameras. Ozzy raised his eyebrows. Ah, he said. Marcus continued quickly. Please, accept my apology. Jessica is new. Well, not new exactly, but she still hasn't understood how this business truly works. It isn't only about money. Art should be accessible to everyone. He paused and looked at Ozzy's expression. You wanted to see that painting with the rain, didn't you? The Henry Beaumont piece. Beautiful choice for your wife. Ozzy was taken aback. Yeah, he said. For Sharon. Our anniversary. Marcus smiled. 42 years, right? I read about it. Congratulations. That's a rare accomplishment these days. Ozzy smiled. That's because of Sharon. I created the problems, and she was the one who fixed them. Marcus laughed, genuinely. Same here. Without my wife, this gallery would have collapsed years ago. The two men looked at each other. A short pause followed, but it felt natural. Marcus spoke again. Please come back inside. Let me show you the painting, and I'll make sure Jessica apologizes. Ozzy shook his head. No need, mate. She was just doing what she thought was right. Marcus disagreed. No, she handled it poorly. There's too much elitism in the art world, and I can't stand it. Please, come in. Ozzy and Marcus walked back into the gallery. Jessica was still upstairs assisting the wealthy clients. Marcus went straight to the window display, pulled out a small key, unlocked the glass case, and carefully removed the painting. Henry Beaumont. 1947, Marcus said as he passed the piece to Ozzy. He painted this in his Paris studio during the post-war period. He lost his wife in the bombings. This artwork is dedicated to her. The raindrops you see are actually symbolic tears. Ozzy held the painting. It was light. The frame was wooden, aged and worn. He looked at the scene again, the woman, the window, the rain. But now, it felt different. It wasn't just artwork. It carried a story, a loss, and a deep love. Sharon would truly appreciate it. Beautiful, Ozzy said quietly. Sharon will love this. Marcus smiled. Then it's yours. They listed it at $42,000. But for you, $38,000. Artists should support each other. Ozzy looked at Marcus. Artists? Marcus nodded. You make music. I work in visual art. Different mediums, same spirit, same challenges. The small details always matter, don't they? Ozzy laughed. You're right about that. He pulled his credit card from his pocket. Let's go ahead. Marcus set the painting on the table and ran the card through a small reader. The payment processed. Packaging will take a little time, Marcus said. But I'll arrange delivery for tomorrow. Can I have your address? Just then, voices approached from the stairs. Jessica was returning with the wealthy clients. And the Warhol is an original print. Only 50 copies exist. This one is number 12. She stopped mid-sentence when she saw Ozzy, Marcus, and the painting on the table. Her face went pale. Mr. Chun. Jessica said, her voice unsteady. I didn't realize. Marcus lifted his hand. Jessica, one moment. He turned to the clients. Mrs. Richardson, Mr. Martinez. This is Ozzy Osbourne, rock legend. He purchased a piece from us today. The three clients stared at Ozzy. They froze for a beat. Then Mrs. Richardson's mouth opened slightly. My God, it's really you? Black Sabbath. Ozzy smiled. Yeah, love. That's me. Mr. Martinez stepped forward. Amazing. My wife is a huge fan. And so am I, of course. The Paranoid album is a classic. Ozzy nodded politely. Thank you, mate. The clients exchanged glances, then looked toward Marcus, then Jessica. Jessica's face had shifted from pale to greenish. Her hands were tightly clasped, and she seemed unsure how to react. Marcus spoke. Jessica, we need to talk in my office. His tone was calm but firm. Jessica nodded, unable to speak. Marcus turned to the wealthy clients. Please excuse me. Another assistant will help you with the details. He motioned to a young man from the back room, who took over the conversation. Marcus looked at Ozzy. Would you give me a moment? Ozzy nodded. Marcus and Jessica stepped into the back office. The door closed, but their voices carried through. Marcus remained steady. Jessica, you've worked here for 3 years. How many times have I told you? Never judge clients by their appearance. Art is for everyone. He continued, still calm. Today, you dismissed Ozzy Osbourne. Tomorrow, it could be a major collector, a museum director, a buyer with influence. Jessica's voice came through, shaken. I'm sorry, Mr. Chun. I truly didn't know, Marcus interrupted. That's the issue. You didn't know, and you assumed. In this field, assumptions can cost us everything. Silence followed. Then Marcus spoke again. This is your final warning. If this happens again, you will lose your job. Understood. A few minutes later, Marcus returned. He looked tired. I apologize, he told Ozzy. Some younger staff forget that humility matters more than anything. Ozzy shrugged. Mate, I wasn't any smarter when I was young. I was worse. She'll learn. Marcus smiled. You're understanding. Ozzy laughed. Not me, Sharon. She taught me. Marcus wrapped the painting carefully and handed Ozzy a business card. Delivery tomorrow at 2 p.m. We'll bring it to your home. Ozzy took the card. Thanks, mate. They shook hands. Ozzy headed toward the exit. This time, Jessica followed him outside. Her eyes were wet. Mr. Osbourne. She said softly. I'm truly sorry. I was rude. I hope you can forgive me. Ozzy stopped and turned to her. She was young, and what he saw in her eyes wasn't fear, but sincere regret. Ozzy spoke gently. Love, everyone slips up. You made a mistake today, but tomorrow you'll try to do better, right? Jessica nodded, tears falling. Yes, I promise. Ozzy smiled. Then we're fine. He walked away, and Jessica watched him go. Same worn jeans, same old t-shirt, same uneven walk. But now he looked completely different. Now he looked like a legend. That night, when Sharon received the gift, she cried. Ozzy, this is beautiful, she said. But $38,000? That's too much. Ozzy smiled. You're worth far more than that.